Hey everyone, Laurel here. Welcome to my Inktober guest post. Inktober is a month-long education and inspirational festival. I know, and I'm giddy to be one of the guest designers for this month. I will link to all the links that you need to know about Inktober down below in the description. So I get the pleasure of playing with the Tombow dual brush pens. I'm giving you a close look today. These are the two packs that I'm going to be playing with. One is like a landscape palette and the other are bright colors. It's called the Galaxy palette. And then I actually played with them to create a card. So that's what we're going to do today. But you're going to see me play with them right out of the box. You're going to get my first impression. So they come in a bunch of 10 packs by theme. And here I am reading the back of the box to figure out what they do because I didn't know. I mean, seriously, I have no idea. So I know there's 96 colors in all, 95 plus a blender pen, and then there's several 10 packs that are available. There are two tips, a flexible brush tip and a fine point tip, and I just kind of wrote my name there. I have terrible handwriting and full disclosure, so you can see the difference between the tips. I'm using that flexible brush tip right now, and then that fine tip is great for sketching, or I'm going to use it to write in the inside of my card and so forth, maybe making straight lines, making a border around your card, something like that. The caps are true to color. I found sometimes you have caps on your markers and the colors are a little off. These seem very true. And the caps do lock in place. You have to push the cap down until you hear a little click. And once you do that, they're going to be locked in place. If you don't do that, they're not going to be locked in place. It also has this blender pin, and I very much liked the blender pin in action here. So you can really create beautiful blending, shading, ombre just with one color and one blender pen. I mean, it's really cool. I'm digging it. And I'm not an expert at blending, so this makes it look like I am. And I like anything that does that. Now I wanted to see how it reacted with the water. So I've got a puddle of water on my glass mat, and I'm just basically taking the marker and dipping it into that puddle to see what I'm getting here. And you get a nice softer look, but it's still a pretty intense color. And when I did it next to the purple that I took direct to paper, I didn't see much of a difference. I'm going to see about mixing colors. So I've got a paintbrush that's wet and I'm putting the colors together and mixing colors, and you can make some custom colors. So then I decided I'm going to pull out some stamps and pull out a piece of paper and try to make a card while I'm practicing with some of these things I'm trying to try out for you. So I've got a couple of stamps from the Hedgehog Hollow. One is from the September box, which is this image right here, and the other is from the October box, and I'm going to try direct to stamp first. I chose a sentiment to do the direct to stamp, and I'm going in with the landscape palette here, these colors. So I'm taking the marker, again, I'm using the brush side or the brush tip, and I'm taking the side of my marker and I'm just scribbling onto the stamp. I'm just choosing colors, whatever, that I thought looked nice. I really didn't put too much effort into selecting my colors. And I'm going over and just trying to make sure that my whole stamp is covered. I am not worried that my blue went over my brown and my brown went over my green or any of that, because when I'm done, I'm going to scribble the markers off onto some scratch papers. So any color that kind of got on the tip of the other markers, it's going to be just fine. So I didn't get a perfect impression that first time, so I'm doing it again, and this time I'm misting it with a little bit of water. So I found that you got to mist it with a little bit of water to get a really good impression. Not too much, especially if you're doing a sentiment, because then your sentiment's going to get all watery and you're not going to be able to read what it says. But so there you go. So how do they watercolor? Can you watercolor with these markers? Well, let's see. First, I'm taking the marker. Again, I'm using the brush tip, the flexible brush tip for most of this. And I'm going in and adding it directly to the paper. This is like media cardstock, so it works with water and all kinds of mediums. So taking it direct to paper, I did get kind of some movement there, but not too much. You can still see where I laid down that pink. It's pretty bold, and then I'm pulling some of the pink away, but you can absolutely see where I put that marker down. And that may be really cool. You could kind of add that effect for certain things, maybe center of florals or whatnot. But that's not really what I wanted. So here I am. I'm going to go in and do the same thing, but this time I'm going to dip the marker into the water and try to blend it out that way, which is not bad, but it was pretty watery. I made a big puddle. So now I'm going to scribble the marker onto my glass surface and pick it up with a wet paintbrush, like you could do with any watercolor markers you have. And this worked very well. I was also able to combine colors there. As you saw, I added in like a forest green and a grass green and made my own custom color there. So that worked out pretty well. Now I'm going in with the fine tip, the fine point, perfect for getting in small images just like this. It's fantastic. Now I've got some pink scribbled on that glass mat there and some blue, a little aqua, and I just mix those two colors together. And I'm going to go in and try to color that floral there. I was trying to get a softer pink, but it didn't quite work out for me, so I'm going to go in and just be like crazy. Then I added more pink, and I'm like, well, okay, that looks pretty similar to the other flowers. So now I'm going to go in and add some blue. So I do like that you can add, you know, watercoloring, it's definitely more forgiving, and we'll go into the dry marker in just a second. But I went in and added some of this, and I kind of like how it pulled everything together. That purple flower to the left, that's the one where I dipped the purple right into the water. Would have been really good on a bigger image. I should have done it on one of the big flowers, but that's okay. You know, we're trying it out. We're seeing how these markers do. This is literally my first time ever playing with them. So I took another marker and went around. I chose a light color and went around the edge there, and then I'm just adding a little bit of water. Now again, when you take your marker direct to paper, you're not going to get a whole bunch of movement. If you want movement, then you need to water down the marker and then add it to your paper. I wanted to see if you could flick. I'm huge into water flicking, so I took the marker and dipped it into the water, and it worked. I got lots of water flicks there, so that's a good thing to do. Just dump it in your water and flick. So I'm going in with a darker green using the fine tip and adding some shading and detail to those leaves. That worked out beautifully. Now here's the black. I went to give the center of the flowers some color. It was a little too black, but what are you going to do? And then I took a gray pen and added some random dash lines just to separate the two things. I don't know. I'm making this on a whim. I didn't go in with a sketch. I was just trying to put a whole bunch of techniques into one card. So here's the inside of the card. I'm using the fine tip again to write on the inside. Again, my handwriting is horrible, but it works beautifully. I love the fine tips. I think these would work great in your journaling and planners and whatnot, because I wanted to know, hey, does this smear? No, it doesn't. I put my hand right over it and does not smear. Does it bleed through? No, sure doesn't. So it's awesome. So because of those two things, these are great markers to use in your planners or journals or whatnot. So I was very happy about that. Now, do they blend when they're dry? And to me, the short answer is when you use that blending pen, which I showed at the beginning of the video. Here's me trying to blend the markers without that blender pen, and it's just not working for me. But I am very much marker challenged when it comes to like blending and stuff, which is why I'm over the moon about that blender pen. But you can see I'm just trying to, just without any water or without any blending pen, and But once you add the water, oh yeah, it blends. And I showed you again at the beginning of the video how wonderful you get that blending and that ombre look. You can do whatever you want with just one color marker and one blender pen. So imagine what you can do with more colors. And there I put two different color blues down, and I went over it with just a very little bit of water, and gorgeous. So they blend beautifully with water. Are they water reactive? I sprayed some water in my hand and flicked it on there. I'm a huge fan of the water flicks, and look at that. So you can get beautiful, beautiful water flicks with these markers as well. So overall, I am very, very pleased with them. I don't think there's anything that I can say that I don't love about them. Because when they're dry, you just use the blender pen, which they include in every 10 pack. If you were to purchase a 10 pack, one of those markers is going to be the blender pen. You can do a lot with water. Look at that. Look at that blender pen. I'm going back to that. I keep talking about that. It's great. And then when you add water, of course, the sky is the limit with the different techniques you can do. So I love it. I love the fine tip for writing, for going into little tight places. Sometimes you have stamps that have little tight places, like on the leaves. Great for writing in your card, doesn't smear. I can't tell you how many times I have smeared. I just don't even want to talk about that because that's happened quite a bit. So I love them. That's my opinion. So I'm so glad I was able to guest for the Inktoberfest, and thanks so much for hanging out with me and letting me take a look up close and personal right out of the box with the Tombow markers. And be sure to keep on checking every day, because there's a new product, new guest, new feature every single day, exclusive coupon codes. You don't want to miss it. I'll have all the links below for you. And thank you so much for watching.